My mother-in-law was on the phone with us and she expressed that she was like a little bit hurt because she keeps finding out things about our pregnancy from her sister who sees the posts on social media.
Hey people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. So this video, it is an interesting video and I'm so here for it, and I know I'm going to go off and rant as always, okay? But this is down my alley. So this is a video of a creator who came online to talk about how she's not her husband's king's keeper. And she was talking about how she's not the one that's going to maintain the relationship between her husband and his side of his family, like his mom, his brother, his siblings, because naturally it's been expected as women, once you married a man, you are the one that communicate most of the things you want to communicate as a couple to both sides of your family and your husband's family. And she was talking about her pregnancy, how her mother-in-law was not happy that she was getting most of the information about their pregnancy and all that through social media, when she could have easily have that, like, pass those information to her in person. And she went on to tell her husband that, you know what, that is your responsibility, that's your mother. If you want to give her this information, go ahead and pass the information to her, but it is not my responsibility as your wife to be doing that, to be passing that information to your mom. If you want to maintain a relationship with your mom, then you should make an effort and do that. It's not my responsibility to play that field. And I'm here for it. I'm here for this conversation, especially coming from the African Nigeria culture and society. This is a thing. Anyway, guys, let's go check out what this woman has to say, and she has sharing her story. Then I'll come back and share more of my thoughts. But let me know what you think about this.
So I refuse to be the primary communicator with my husband's side of the family. And I want to talk about this. I got a lot of hate on here about this a couple of Christmases ago, but it came up again last night. So let's chat about it. So a few weeks ago, my mother-in-law was on the phone with us and she expressed that she was like a little bit hurt because she keeps finding out things about our pregnancy from her sister who sees the posts on social media. Now, this was kind of news to me because I thought my husband had been communicating with his mom and stepdad. I didn't know he hadn't been. So we were talking about an upcoming ultrasound last night and I said, yeah, don't forget to send that to your mom so that her feelings aren't hurt. And he said, why don't you just send it to my mom? And I said, no, sir, not my responsibility. I communicate with my side of the family, you communicate with your side of the family. And we had a little discord about this. Essentially, he thinks it's not that much more responsibility for me to tell his mom about it and have a conversation with her about it. And I say, that is not my responsibility. It's your responsibility to communicate that to your people because it's my responsibility to communicate that to my people. So essentially, we had a little back and forth, and these are my points to him. Number one, I'm not his kin keeper. If he wants to maintain a relationship with the people in his life and have them know information about our lives, that is 100% on him. Number two, I think this tends to fall on women's shoulders because it's either assumed that they have a larger social battery or that they have more time. Neither of those things are true in our relationship. My husband has a much larger social battery than I do. And he also tends to have more free time just because I like to take on projects outside of work. But third and final, not a single person would look to my husband as it was his responsibility if my mom was left out of the loop. If my mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter. If his mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter-in-law. But that's not how things work in our relationship. We are a partnership. He has his responsibility. I have my responsibility. That's how it's always worked. He knew I was like this from day one. So anyway, essentially I left it like this with him. Do you want your mom to have this information? And he said yes. And I said, then it's your responsibility to make sure she gets it. And since I think people are going to ask, I don't have a bad relationship with my mother-in-law. We do communicate about things. I just don't want it to be my sole responsibility to make sure she's getting information. I married a grown adult who had good communication with his mom before I met him. There's no reason that that should be shifted onto my responsibility plate now that we're together.
Valid point. I want to know what you think about this conversation she has brought down in the comment section. Love to know what you think about this conversation, okay? Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's the responsibility of the wife to always relate everything, like try to communicate, keep a relationship with her husband's people? For me, I have so much to say, especially me coming from a society where it's believed that once you marry a man, you marry his family, and his family automatically becomes your family. His mother is now your mother, his brothers is now your brother, and all that. So I have so much to say about this, and I'm going to share my own thought, but I also want to know what you think, so go down in the comment section. But before we go on to hear other people's stuff, because people responded to this and I'm super excited to hear what they have to say. But before we get into the video, if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get notified once we upload video every single day. We post 2 videos every day and you don't want to miss out on the conversation. You don't want to miss out, okay? So let's go check out what people think about this, then we'll come back and talk more.
I used to be the primary communicator with my husband's side of the family. I thought my husband had been communicating with his mom and stepdad. I didn't know he hadn't been. So we were talking about an upcoming ultrasound last night, and I said, yeah, don't forget to send that to your mom so that her feelings aren't hurt. And he said, why don't you just send it to my mom? And I said, no, sir, not my responsibility. I communicate with my side of the family, you communicate with your side of the family. And we had a little discord about this. Essentially, he thinks it's not that much more responsibility for me to tell his mom about it and have a conversation with her about it. And I say, that is not my responsibility. It's your responsibility to communicate that to your people because it's my responsibility to communicate that to my people.
And this is why relationships with men are a net negative for women, unless the men are pulling their own weight and offsetting all the stress and pressure that they bring into our lives. So I think that this woman did a fantastic job holding up her boundaries and whatnot. But do you see how under patriarchy, men automatically think that it's your responsibility to become their secretary once you're married, once you are going to have children and whatnot? He has no qualms with saying to his wife, well, why don't you just do it? Because it's not that much work. First of all, if you really thought it wasn't that much work, you would be doing it for yourself. And even though she had fantastic boundaries and she held them up, she still had to spend time educating a grown-ass man on why it's his job to talk to his own mother. I don't know about y'all, but I don't have time for that bullshit. And like she said, all these people are coming to her. His mother is mad with her for him not communicating about their pregnancy. But nobody in the world thinks it's his job to communicate with his own family or her family about her pregnancy. What's going to happen when she's in the hospital, like giving birth, you know? What's going to happen after she's given birth and she's out of it and whatnot? Like, people are going to be upset if they don't have the information because they feel like, oh, well, the woman's supposed to disseminate it. And mind you, this is on top of the pregnancy pains. This is on top of having to labor and give birth. This is on top of having to care for the child. I do not have energy for this. God bless every woman who does. But this is why I say relationships with men are a net negative unless they come in adding to your life. And love does not count. This is quantifiable. You can quantify how much stress has been added in this situation. You can count the number of people who are upset because they didn't get their update, who are now coming to her and saying, well, why didn't this happen and why didn't this happen? You can count the hours she had to spend in discussion with her husband to convince him that he needs to talk to his own mother. That is quantifiable. Love is not quantifiable. And guess what? Single women get love from our families. They get love from our friends. We love our hobbies. We love our pets. Like, there's a lot of love to go around with no stress added to the equation. And again, this is no shade, no tea. I really appreciate this woman sharing so that other women who are married can know to hold up their boundaries and realize that despite the fact we live under a patriarchy, we don't have to automatically accede to the idea that we become responsible for all of the husband's labor when we get married. You don't have to be his kinkeeper. You don't have to be his secretary. You don't have to do all the domestic labor by yourself. But just the fact that this has to be an active discussion, just the fact that you have to undo the patriarchal expectation is work a lot of women are no longer interested in. This is why women are choosing to be single. Setting boundaries is amazing, but not having to set the boundary is even more amazing. Wives are generously opening up their lives to us so we can see how under patriarchy, marriage adds a lot of work to your plate automatically. And you can shove the work off your plate. You can redistribute the work back to people who it belongs to. But doing that in and of itself is work. And I'm so glad we're having these conversations so women of this generation and the generations to come can see if this is really what they want to deal with. That's it. Like and follow for more.
So I refuse to be the primary communicator with my husband's side of the family. And I want to talk about...
Hey guys, so go back and watch that creator's video for full context, but basically her and her husband are having a discussion on whose responsibility it is to update his side of the family when it comes to major life events. And basically, that conversation ended with the creator saying, hey, at the end of the day, if you want your side of the family to know what's going on in our lives, then you need to tell them. And I 1000% agree with her. And in fact, I'm going to take that a step further. So I have been with my fiance for about 2 years now. I do not have any biological kids of my own. He has 3 from a previous relationship. I let him know when we got serious in our relationship that I will in no way, shape, or form facilitate or coordinate a relationship between him and his kids. If he wants a relationship with them, if he wants to see them, take them places, take them things, he will have to be the one that coordinates that with baby mama. So a couple of reasons why I feel this way. One, it is his kids at the end of the day. And again, please don't interpret that I don't love these kids. I love them to the moon and back. But ultimately, it is his kids. If he needs another person to tell him and facilitate with him how important it is to get his kids and see them and take them things, then his priorities are not in line. And that's not someone I want to be with. And 2, realistically, I don't want them in the future when suddenly the kids are not kids to look back on our situation and say, oh, dad didn't even care enough about us to send a text. I want them to know that their dad wanted a relationship with them, wanted to coordinate being with them and taking them places. I want them to know that that was all on dad. Misty did not have to do any of it. Misty did not have to force him to do anything. So there's another component of this that I wanted to mention just really quick, and that is I am not the person to step in between the relationship between him and baby mama. These kids have one biological mom, one biological dad. They do not need another parent. I am here in a support role. Again, do I love these kids? Yes. However, it is their responsibility to coordinate between the 2 of them. I do not want to throw a wrench into that. We all have a good relationship. So at this point, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel when I don't have to. The last thing I want to say about it is this, ladies. Men are really good at doing this. Men are really good at trying to pawn things off on you. And they come up with ridiculous explanations for it, just like this situation. Honey, if you want to talk to your side of the family, then you need to talk to them. If you want your side of the family to know what's going on in your life, then you need to tell them. It's your mom, it's your dad, it's your sister, it's your brother. You need to tell them. Take some responsibility. But at the end of the day, this is what I want to say. Whatever you do for a man, especially at the beginning of a relationship, you need to be prepared to do it until the day you die. Otherwise, you need to set hard boundaries with them and follow those boundaries, because again, they will try to weasel their way into getting you to do something that they don't want to do anymore. So, if they can continue to cry and moan about it, then, maybe we need to have a larger discussion if this relationship is even working anymore. Just gonna throw that out there, okay? Hope that helps. Bye.
So I refuse to be the primary communicator with my husband's side of the family, and I want to talk about this.
Okay, so I am currently getting divorced from my ex, but we were married 24 years, and we had a rule just like this, which was you deal with your family and I will deal with mine. And I talked to his mom all the time, and he, it wasn't like that. It was just if there's a problem that came up, like we would deal with our own sides. Now, it worked great for a while until my family members began to die. Just die. But his did not, and they became more problematic as time went on. So he just kept having to deal with his family more and more and more, and mine became less and less of a problem. So that rule can backfire. It can backfire, or it can work out in your favor in a weird way. So highly recommend putting that rule down in your family, though.
If my mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter. If his mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter.
Exactly this. This might be a hot take, but I think the premise that she presented serves as a baseline for 95% of the relationships that don't go well between daughter-in-law and in-laws. To a certain extent, I get it. So many mothers-in-law today were responsible for keeping their husband's side of the family informed. And I hate to say it, but that was just a sign of the time. It's also important to note it wasn't just the husband's family that mothers-in-law, when they weren't mothers-in-law yet, were responsible for keeping track of generally. It was everything related to the functioning of the household, the kids, the social calendar for the entire family. As always, if that is something that you like to do, or that's a role that you and your partner have decided you take on, and it works for you, then good, then great, then do that. But that's not everyone's reality, and that doesn't mean that their reality is wrong. My content and my messaging takes it a step further. My content and my messaging is, if your expectation is as this woman presented, and you're not nice to your daughter-in-law, that makes no sense, and you likely won't have a good relationship with your adult child, their partner, and subsequently your grandchildren if they have any.
So I want to know what you think about this conversation down in the comment section. Do you think it's the wife's duty to keep the family in check, keep everything in order, communicate with the husband's family and her family? Do you think that? Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this down in the comment section. But please, as always, here on this channel, we have a conversation here. We're very respectful. So share your thoughts, share your opinion without calling each other's names, without insulting anybody. We're here to have conversation and we are allowed to disagree. Okay? So here's my own thought on this, which I like saying this for people that are just seeing my video for the first time. Okay? So they get context. Okay? If this is the first time you're seeing me, I have been married for almost 11 years. Okay? And been with my partner for, we've been together for almost 21 years together. And this is my own take on this. And this is a very amazing conversation to have generally, especially when it comes to my culture, my society. I live in Nigeria. I'm an African, so yeah. Okay. There's this thing that goes on here in my society that believes that as a woman, once you marry into a family, you automatically start serving your husband's family and your family, and naturally, it just becomes his mother becomes your mother and all that. And for me, I find this dynamic very dangerous. I find it very dangerous. I agree with the original creator. To handle your own side of the family, I handle my own side of the family. Some people usually say that how do we do it? Because yeah, in a Nigeria type of marriage, you are a woman, almost 11 years in the marriage, you don't even have a child. Family members start going yabba yabba yabba. They start treating you awfully. In fact, you're in Nigeria and you know this, leave it in the comment section and confirm what I'm saying, okay? They start like literally, they'll start threatening you, they'll start giving you attitude, they'll start calling you names and all that. And I get this question all the time. People are like, Destiny, no child, how is your husband's family thinking about it? Mind you, my husband's family know that I'm going child free and they don't care. But this also stems from the relationship, how we started the relationship, and which is very important. The sister said it like, anything you choose to do at the beginning of a relationship, be very consistent with it. Anything you know you don't want to attain. And this is where a lot of Nigerian women get it wrong. Because at the beginning of the relationship, they are very performative. They are being Yahoo. They are being, when I mean Yahoo, new wife or fiance, they are serving their husband's family. They are overdoing it. They are doing busybody. And at this time, once you now get into the house as a wife and you're not doing those things, they're not like, oh, you're being rude and all that. And this is one thing I always tell people, don't start what you cannot finish. So I personally, I was that person that I kept a STEM relationship with my in-laws even before they became my in-laws. When me and my husband were dating, they know Destiny's a lazy girl, Destiny will stand her ground, Destiny is stubborn. They know all those things. Even though then I was still a very naive young girl that I was still conforming to what society expects to us women. But also I was that young girl that also in my head there were certain things that I just know, like I'm like, no in-law will use me to shine. I'm married to a very amazing family and I love them, but I knew that already. So that aside, and it was a thing, myself and my husband, when we decided we want to get married, which we sat down, we have a blowful conversation of different things in our relationship and in the marriage moving forward. One of the things is that I don't handle your family, you handle your family when a situation comes in. You don't handle my family, I handle my family. And we've gotten to that point where in my own side of the family, before my own side of the family even calls my husband, he even relates or talks to him, they have to check in with me. Like my mom would say, oh, hello, I want to call my in-law, is it okay? I was like, okay, what do you want to tell him? It has to go through me, and that's what I expect from him. But also there are a lot of men, and my husband did that too, which I clocked on time. A lot of men will eventually want to move it to you eventually, like, oh, you know what, I'm busy, okay, and mom said you did not call her, da-da-da-da-da-da. They want to do that. Ladies, don't start what you cannot finish. If you are that type of person that you want to bring your husband, like you want to be that's the person. Like me, like my husband's nieces and nephew, I'm very close to them. They're almost like my nieces and nephew. Love them to death. But when it comes to the family dynamic, it is not my responsibility. I remember when my when we just got married, my mother-in-law wanted to come over to the house and all that. I don't have a problem with her coming to her son's house. I don't have a problem, but it's not my thing. If you want to come, talk to your son. And I remember she would talk to her son, and when it comes to when she talks to her son, she doesn't ask like, oh, when am I coming to your house? But when she talks to me, she asks, when am I coming to your house, and when you're going to give me grandchildren. And I remember this scenario, this thing keeps going on. I was being like, okay, I was taking it, I was shoving it off. And I remember the conversation I had with my husband. I sat in them, I was like, and the mom would go with the thing, and a lot of Nigeria mother-in-law, they say, you're just like my daughter, and all that, and all that. And me, I don't like that saying when you say, oh, I'm not your daughter, okay? So I had the conversation with my husband, and I was like, you know what? This is what your mom is saying, da 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 da. What do you, and she said she's only addressing it with me because I'm like her daughter. I said, do you want me to handle your mom like my mother? And he said, okay now. I was like, oh, hold on, not that quick. You know how me and my mom will get it. Me and my mom, we can go back and front. And I love our relationship, but me and my mom, we can butt head a lot. We disagree on almost everything. And I'm not afraid to speak up and like check her if it needs to be. And I told him, I was like, do you want my relationship with your mother to be like my mother? And he was like, okay. I like, because if it's going to be like my mother, I'm going to treat her exactly like the way you've seen me and my mom tussle. So is your mom ready to handle that? And he was looking at me, I was like, that is it. Exactly what the point I was making. I am not her daughter. I'm a daughter-in-law, and she should treat me with that respect. The person she has a business with is you, and that is fine. And I don't know how he related that message to her, the whole question, oh, you didn't call me, all those things that, because, and I personally, I intentionally stopped doing that calling, checking and all that. And my mom doesn't even, my husband can go, oh yeah, in yeah, doesn't call my mom is fine, just that she can check up on me, I'm fine, and she check up and say, oh, how's your husband? I said, he's fine. She trusts my word, she's good with it, okay? And I'm talking about a lot of women that usually, especially women in Nigeria, that usually go with the concept that, oh, my mother-in-law is my mother. Your mother-in-law is not your mother, okay? The things that you will give your mother-in-law will not take it from you. The way she will talk to her daughter, she will not talk to you that way. So people should be able to define those relationships and know it. And I'm not saying one size fits all. If that's what works for you, you being the secretary to your husband, always... Did I just say that? Like, just keeping everything in profile, and that is who you are and all that, kudos to you. But for me personally, it was a no-no. I stood 10 toes on it, and it is what it is. My husband, people, I love them. I have amazing relationship with them. Like, amazing relationship. But that's because I want to have a relationship with them. It's not because they are just my in-law. I have a relationship with the ones that are amazing to me, that I feel like we can be friends, we can be kiki-kakaing. I have that relationship with them. And the one that... Okay, I don't do that. But also, I want to know your own take. And for me, I feel like that's one thing that has helped our relationship and our marriage, because we don't have to deal with that intertwining of family, which is something that is very common in my society and my culture. We don't have to deal with that. Everybody deal with your family. Now, it's the two of us that choose to get married. Let's deal with ourselves. If we're having issues, we have the issues with ourselves. If I want to report my husband to my mom, I report to my mom. My mom does not really have the right, except it has to do with a life and death situation, to start calling my husband. Same thing with his people. Okay? Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this amazing conversation down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful as always. Here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So feel free to share your opinion, but be respectful as always, okay? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see, and that'll be you supporting this channel and this girl here. So go ahead and do that. Leave comments, share, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, okay? And click the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload video every single day. With that all said, guys, I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.